SwimOutlet.com delivers the best online shopping experience. With an extensive selection and the lowest prices, you're guaranteed to find the product you need. Here's what you get. Free shipping on all orders over $49. Free 1 to 2 day shipping on all orders over $99. All orders placed by 6 p.m. ship out the same day. Shop at SwimOutlet.com, the web's most popular swim shop.
This is the Morning Swim Show for Friday, August 10th, 2012. I'm your host, Jeff Cummings. On yesterday's show, we brought you an interesting look at the Olympic medals from the early 1900s to today, with a great deal of wonderful history given by Bruce Wigo, CEO of the International Swimming Hall of Fame. Bruce is with me today in the Finis Monitor to talk about an exhibit he presided over in London, which presented more Olympic history. Hi, Bruce. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jeff. Doing great.
So yesterday we had the video of you at the Olympic trials talking about the history of all the Olympic medals from the early 1900s up to 2008. And I understand you're just back from London, where you just had an exhibit of Olympic swimming all through the years. Tell us about that exhibit.
Well, we basically replicated the exhibit that we had over in Shanghai, China, which was almost 20,000 square feet of exhibit space. But we also took over this time with the Olympic medal collection that you just showed the other day that we had out at the U.S. Olympic trials. So it was really a main feature of the event, interspaced with giant exhibits of the history of each Olympic Games and the aquatic sports there and the heroes. So we blew up Johnny Weissmuller and Mark Spitz and Debbie Meyer, John Neighbor, all even bigger than life size there, and then Olympic medals that either they won or someone won that were similar to the ones that they won. It was a great exhibit. It was actually in Milton Keynes, a town about 50 miles north of London, and it was in one of UK's largest and most well-known shopping malls. So it was a really big opportunity for the Hall of Fame to expose the great history of swimming.
And you talk about larger than life, having these larger than life images. I mean, some of these swimmers were actually larger than life themselves back then. I mean, we talk about how popular Michael Phelps and Missy Franklin and Ryan Lochte are now. Some of these guys were just superstars back then. And of course, we know how big Johnny Weissmuller came after his Olympic glory. Is it kind of amazing to think about that even back then, when there wasn't Twitter and Facebook and instant knowledge, how famous these people were at that time?
Well, Weissmuller is clearly one of the exceptions, but even swimmers that didn't make the Olympics because of war, like Esther Williams, these people were absolutely huge celebrities. And our swimmers are still swimmers right now, and hopefully some of them will transcend into the other realms. But I don't think it's possible to really realize how popular a guy like Johnny Weissmuller in their time, or Buster Crabbe, who was another great movie star. And of course, the swimming was the launching pad to them. And I guess the closest thing to them before Michael, and maybe even Natalie, and now Missy Franklin certainly looks like she's got the personality to transcend sport. But the closest might have been Mark Spitz, and he was really, people don't remember how much Mark Spitz was in the public eye on TV shows, celebrity appearances, and commercials. And he just didn't quite make it in, and I don't know that he had the interest in making it into film. But I think some of these folks, I think Michael certainly has the potential to do a lot more and keep himself in the public eye. Like Johnny Weissmuller, I grew up in the 50s and 60s as a swimmer, and Johnny Weissmuller was still the greatest, most popular, well-known swimmer around, and his career ended in 1928.
I think it's amazing that people that organizations like ISHOF are able to bring these exhibits around the world, because I think a lot of people, especially the younger ones, don't really understand where swimming came from. I think they just kind of think that the superstar celebrity status of swimming now and the way swimming is now is the way that's always been, and it hasn't been so. I would imagine the reception of that exhibit in England was pretty huge.
Well, we also had sections on the history of swimming in the Victorian era, and of course England is the country that started swimming as a competitive sport. But prior to that, back in the days of ancient Greece and Rome, when there were Olympics, swimming wasn't looked on as a sport. It was a life skill, and everybody did it and was taken for granted. So, yeah, no, the swimmers today, I think, are really, and the coaches, I think, think, in a lot of ways, are really doing a disservice to the sport by not showing the younger swimmers on whose shoulders they stand, as both coaches and swimmers. I mean, you ask kids about Doc Councilman or the great coaches that preceded them, the Bob Kippets, who was really an absolute genius of a man as far as the promotion of swimming goes. Because we go into these ebbs and flows of where swimming was incredibly popular in the 20s and 30s and 40s, and then it slipped down in the 50s and 60s where national championships were held sometimes in high school swimming pools. And now we see the Olympic trials out in Omaha were absolutely fantastic. But we had been there before. For example, in 1932, women's Olympic trials was, there were 50,000 people. They put a course out in the Long Island Sound out near Jones Beach in Long Island, and the 50,000 people watched every session of the women's Olympic trials. So it's fascinating. It strikes me particularly fascinating. I don't know that everyone gets that thrill out of seeing the history of swimming, but it's something worth learning about.
Well, it's a credit to organizations like ISHOF that's keeping this history alive, because I think without you guys and others out there, I think it would get lost, and I think probably, as you said, people wouldn't really understand whose shoulders that these swimming greats now stand on.
Yeah, I mean, Michael really has brought us back into this celebrity era. But I think, you know, we're getting exposure from Missy Franklin and Allison Schmidt. And these are some great personalities. And it's really what they do after their career, how they can keep it going and keep swimming in the public eye. When Johnny Weissmuller and Buster Crabbe were even in their 50s and 60s, they would bring in the Hollywood celebrities to make the swimming events even much more glamorous and attractive. Ted Williams, Jackie Gleason, these real stars of the era, the Marx Brothers. These people would come to the national championship meets to be along because they were invited by these guys. And I think, gee, Michael, I saw him hanging out with Kobe Bryant and these guys, LeBron James, having them at nationals, having movie stars and the pop singers there just brings so much more excitement and credibility to the swimming events. And I think that they really have a great chance to continue doing great things for swimming in the future.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea for USA Swimming to think about in the future. So let's go back to this exhibit. Just out of curiosity, how does ISHOF acquire these swimsuits and medals that you guys have on display?
Well, this started back with the collection when the Hall of Fame was first thought of and conceived of. That the call went out to provide memorabilia for the exhibits at the Hall of Fame. So we have Olympic medals dating back to 1896, 1904, 1900, and now with this exhibit, we've asked some people that are out there, like Donna DiVerona, John Neighbor, Debbie Meyer, to loan us their memorabilia, their Olympic medals for these exhibits, which have also helped the Hall of Fame raise some funds so that we can continue to do what we do. But the swimsuits from Johnny Weissmuller to Duka Hanamoko, these are all, you would not believe the amount of memorabilia that we have that isn't on display. But these early swimsuits of the sport, from what people wore in those days, it really has a lot. They wore bloomer cup women completely, and men's chests had to be covered as well. So it really kind of goes along with the whole cultural trends into society.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting to see how history repeated itself with the bodysuits, and now we're back to the jammers. But history is always great to see when I go down there to the Hall of Fame, and interesting always is always to talk to you, Bruce. Well, thanks for talking about the exhibit. We'll have you back here on Monday's show. I want to talk about this interesting trip you took out to Brighton, where seems like there was a renaissance of swimming in Great Britain happening.
Yeah, okay. I look forward to it, Jeff, and thanks for allowing us to share the history of swimming with you.
All right, sounds good. See you soon.
Okay.
All right, so that's Bruce Wigo talking about a great exhibit that he helped put on in the UK during the Olympics. That's going to do it for today's show. And just as a reminder, this exhibit, if you are in the UK, is on until September 2nd. All right, I'm Jeff Cummings. Thanks for watching.